There's a formula we need to know today. We're starting compound interest. There's a formula that we're going to be going over, and this is a very important formula. You will have to have it memorized for the EOC, so let's copy it down and talk about what it means. A equals P parentheses 1 plus R divided by N to the NT power. This is called compound interest. We talk about compound interest when we are talking about, most of the time when we're talking about banks. If we're going to invest money in a bank, you're going to get interest on that money. Interest is money that they are adding to the amount that you have invested. So if you deposit $100 in an account in the bank, if it's there for a certain amount of time, you're going to start getting money added to that account. That's why it's good to put money in banks. So here's the formula, okay? If you want, you can highlight it, star it, put a box around it just like we do in class, that's fine, okay? We're gonna define what each part of that formula stands for, okay? And what each thing means. So we're gonna start with the A. A is equal to the total amount. So the total amount in the account. The P stands for the principal. And this is not the principal like Mr. Dawsonbach. Okay, this is principal like the initial amount. Okay, so in parentheses, write initial amount. So our principal is how much did we put in the account in the beginning. Then we have R. R stands for the rate. And we want to make sure that's in a decimal format, just like when we did our exponential functions. We want to make sure our rate is in a decimal. N stands for the number of times that it is what's called compounded. Compounded means when it gets the money added into the account. How often are they going to put money into your account? And T stands for time. Before we move on, I just want to talk about this word compounded. There are a couple different ways that you can see something being compounded. We're just going to write down what the different ways are and how many that means, okay? The first one you are going to see is annually. Annually means once a year, okay? Then we have semi-annually. Semi-annually is twice a year, so 2. Quarterly is 4. Monthly is 12 because there's 12 months in a year. And very rarely you're going to see this one, but just in case you do, it says daily. And there are 365 days in the year, so that would be 365. So in these questions are going to be given to us kind of like a word problem. In these questions, it's going to say one of these words, annually, semi-annually, quarter, monthly, daily, and that's going to tell us what number we're going to use, this right here. So you want to make sure you have that down in your notes and you're going to look back at it. So let's look at our first question. We have $7,300 at 7% compounded semi-annually for 3 years. There are 5 variables in this equation: A, P, R, N, and T. So what I want you to do, okay, I think this would be the easiest for everybody, is we're going to write A equals P equals R equals N equals and T equals. We're going to write all those over here to the side. Now we're just going to fill in the information that we're given in the problem. P is how much it starts at. That's what we're given here, the $7,300. That's the principal amount what's invested. The rate is our decimal. So here they give it to us as a percent. So they give us 7%. So to turn that into a decimal, we move it 2 places to the left. So our rate is 0.07. N is the number of times it's compounded. And so it says compounded semi-annually, and semi-annually means 2. So N equals 2. And then the time is after how long? Our time is 3 years. So 3. We're trying to figure out what this A is right here. So we're going to write our formula. A equals P parentheses 1 plus R divided by N to the NT power. And we're going to plug in the letters that we know. A equals P is 7300 times 1 plus our rate is 0.07 divided by N, which is 2. Close our parentheses, and then up here at the top we have 2 times 3, N times T. And now we could just plug all this into the calculator, but if I'm plugging all this into the calculator, I want to make sure that I have this in its own little parenthesis, okay, this fraction right here. Otherwise, the calculator is going to give us the wrong answer, okay? If you're using one of our new calculators, you don't have to put this up in a parenthesis, but you can if you want to as well. So we're going to type this in exactly as we see it. Again, you can see I put that little fraction in its own parentheses. To the, and you could either write it as 2 times 3 power as long as they stay as exponents, or just put it in a fraction. I mean, not a fraction, in a parenthesis. Hit enter. And we get that A equals, and this is money, so put a $sign, 8973.56. Whenever we're talking about money, we want 2 decimal places. And so that would be our answer. So now for question number 2, we have $130 at 9.4% compounded quarterly for 2 years. Go ahead and pause the video now and try this question on your own. See how well you can get this one, get to the correct answer. Okay, so now we have A equals, P equals, R equals, N equals, T equals. And we're going to take the information and we're going to plug it in here. So our principal, what we invested was 130. Our rate that we have, 9.4. Remember, this is still a percent, so to change it to a decimal, I still need to move it 2 places over to the left, 0.094. N is how many times it's compounded. Quarterly is 4, so N equals 4, and our time is 2. So we write our formula first. Get into the habit of writing your formula first, especially on this one here, because this formula has a lot more involved with it. So this one might be a little bit more challenging to memorize. So we plug in our information, 130, 1 plus our R value of 0.094 over our N value of 4 to the 4 times 2 power. So A equals, we plug this into our calculator. Don't forget to put this in its own little parenthesis here. and we get 156 point, and that will round to $55.